Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. I have 5 last-minute Halloween gnome projects for you today. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, the bell to be notified when I post new videos, and a thumbs up is very much appreciated. Okay guys, the first gnome we're going to make today is a black cat gnome. So I'm going to use these great black sparkly socks that I got at the Dollar Tree. And the first thing I have to do is weigh my sock down. I'm just going to use some of these pebbles I have left over from the Dollar Tree. You can use whatever you have. You can use rice, beans, rocks, sand, whatever. You just need to weigh down the bottom of your sock gnome so that they will stand up properly. Now, I'm going to stuff the body of our sock gnome with just some pillow fluff from an old pillow. And I'm kind of measuring the little gnome beard I have there, which is attached to a stocking. They have those right now in the Christmas section at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to tie it off just below the heel part of the sock with a zip tie and then cut off the excess fabric. And that's our gnome body. Now, I love these gnome stockings because look at this. All you got to do is apply a little bit of heat and the hot glue comes off and you have a gnome beard and a gnome nose. You don't have to do anything. Now, if you can't find these stockings, you can always make gnome beards out of the little microfiber mop heads from the Dollar Tree. Works really well. And for the nose, you can use like a wood bead or you can stuff a nose like that. Now, I thought it was a little large, so I just trimmed off about 1 inch all the way around. And I am going to cut off the zip tie and apply our little gnome beard to the sock, just like that with hot glue. And I'm just going to glue the nose down. Now for the hat of our little gnome, I'm just going to use whatever I have left over from the rest of that black sock that I cut off. So I just kind of gather it at a tip into a pointy tip and use a black zip tie to tie that off. If you don't have zip ties, you can always use you can use string, twine, whatever you have. And I'm going to stuff it a little bit so that it will stand up nicely on our little gnome, and he's looking really cute. You'll see that that black sparkly sock looks so good with that black cat ears and black tail because it's like the same kind of material. They match perfectly. And I'm just going around my sock, and I like to have the nose kind of pointing out at the end. So I also glue it a little bit over the top of the gnome nose and then just trimming off the zip tie there at the top. Now this is their Halloween costume section at the Dollar Tree, this little black cat costume. And we're using the tail and the ears. The headband's a little too big for our gnome, so I'm just going to trim off the ears and I'm just going to attach those ears to our little black cat gnome hat. So once I get them cut off, I'm just going to attach them with hot glue. I kind of put them in at a diagonal, kind of like where I think the cat ears would come out. And I just use hot glue to attach them to each side, trying to get them kind of even. This little Halloween gnome turned out so cute. I think he's my favorite. He's just so sweet. My son really enjoyed him too. So I also put a little hot glue on the back just to make sure those ears stay on and stand up. Now the tail has a great little black elastic strap on it already. I just tie it to make it a little bit shorter so it'll fit our little gnome, and I actually use that to help attach it to our gnome, but I also use hot glue to glue on to the base of where the tail would be. And then that tail will kind of just wrap around the side of our little black cat gnome like that. Now, the only thing I have left to do is make him some whiskers. So I'm going to use just some black pipe cleaners from the Dollar Tree. And I end up doing 2 on each side. So I'm going to cut 4 little pipe cleaners, like all the same length. And I'm just going to attach those to the side of the little gnome nose with a little bit of hot glue between the hat and the nose like that. And this was so easy to put together, and I think he's so cute. I absolutely love the little black cat gnome. Here he is. Okay, the next gnome that we have today is going to be a vampire bat gnome. So I'm going to use that other black sock that I had, the sparkly sock, and use the rest of my pebbles just to weigh down the bottom of our little sock gnome. Then I'm going to use more pillow fluff to stuff this sock gnome as well until I get it about how I like it. You can just kind of shape it and then use a zip tie to tie that off. And then I'm just going to cut off the excess fabric. And I'm going to kind of build this one the same way. I'm going to use another one of those great gnome stockings from the Dollar Tree and my heat gun, and I am just going to peel that right off. I'm going to go ahead and save that stocking because it'll be a great source of gray felt for crafting. And I'm going to go ahead and trim this guy's beard the same, about an inch off all the way around because it's a pretty big beard and my gnome's not that big. And I'm just going to attach that with hot glue to the top of my sock area. And I'm going to go in and make another hat with the excess material, just gathering the end to a tip and zip tying that off. I make this one a little shorter, the hat, than I did the other one. I didn't really do that on purpose, but I end up making it work. It's just a little shorter than normal gnome hat, but I kind of wanted to work with the materials I had left over. So I'm going to attach that to the back with hot glue, and then I'm going to attach it to the top of the beard and the top of the nose with hot glue. Now on this step, just make sure that you give it enough time to dry. Every time I kind of let go of it, it came off. It is because I wasn't letting it dry very good. So I'm trying to be patient here and letting the hot glue dry because it is kind of a tight fit on there. And this is going to be our vampire bat. So I got that great headband at the Dollar Tree as well. And it has the little ears and the wings. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I didn't get this at Dollar Tree. It was $1, but I think I may have got it at Dollar General. That tag doesn't really look like a Dollar Tree. Okay, so I'm going to attach the wings to the back. And just with a little bit of hot glue there. And I'm going to do one wing on each side of our little vampire bat. And this one had a little bit of stuff on the back I'm just getting off. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did with the black cat. I'm just going to hot glue the little bat ears onto each side of his hat. And this gnome turned out similar to our black cat gnome, but it definitely does have its own little personality. Now to take it up a notch, I thought it would be fun to give him some little vampire fangs. And so I'm just going to use the bow that came with that cat kit and just cut off 2 little triangles to make little fangs. And I'm going to kind of work those up into his beard and hot glue those down, like kind of where his mouth would be. And we have a vampire bat gnome. Isn't he fun? So cute. I love him. I thought that I got the little fangs on there a little crooked. So I do go in and trim my beard a little bit, just to try to make it look like it was a little bit more centered. But otherwise, he is ready to go. Look how sparkly he is. Okay, the next sock gnome project, I'm going to make a ghost. So I got some white socks from the Dollar Tree and another one of these little gnome stockings. I'm going to run out of these fast, right? And this one was really kind of attached. You notice the other ones came off really easily. This one really made me work for it. But I just love those. Such an easy way to make a gnome. Now, I'm just going to use some rocks that I had from the Dollar Tree. Just again, whatever you have, just to weigh down the bottom of your sock. Now, these are short socks, so I'm going to have to use one for the body and one for the hat. So I am stuffing it again with just pillow fluff. And you got to be careful with these big rocks like that. If they come up the side of the gnome, you can kind of see them. So I'm kind of like rearranging that and making sure that the rocks are on the bottom. And then I'm going to just do the same technique. I'm just going to use a zip tie and cut off the excess sock. And we have the body of our little ghost gnome. And I'm going to hot glue that little beard and gnome nose to the sock. I love making gnomes. I think they're so much fun. And then I'm going to use the other sock for the hat. Now, it has a heel on there, but I want to use the elastic that was around the top of the sock. And so I'm just going to leave it all one piece. I'm going to gather the end together with a zip tie. and then stuff it a little bit and cut off the excess fabric at the tip. Now, I'm not going to stuff this crazy because I want it to be a little bit floppy, and I'm going to try to make this gnome look like a ghost. So I'm hot gluing the hat on to the top, and I thought since he was all white, he would look like a white little ghost. Now, the problem with that heel being on the back is that it kind of sticks out there, and it kind of makes the hat not stand up great. So I just glued that part of the heel down. And then I thought I had a little bit too much stuffing in the hat for what I wanted to do. So I did take that zip tie off the end and kind of push the stuffing down to get it exactly how I wanted it. And then I'm just going to gather that back together and zip tie it again. And still have kind of like a little floppy tip on the end of this little gnome hat. And to do eyes for my little ghost, I'm just going to use black felt. And there I am gluing down that heel. That made my hat stand up way better and got rid of that excess fabric. So once I get it on there, I'm just using some black felt I had left over. And I'm cutting 2 at a time, trying to cut an oval. I don't know why it's so hard when you try to cut an oval or a circle, but when you're really trying to cut like a good circle, it's so hard. So I got 2 ovals, and I'm going to kind of put them where the gnome's eyes would be. And I just attached this with hot glue. I wasn't recording there for a second. And then I trimmed the beard to look like a ghost tail, like off to the side and kind of swoopy like a ghost tail would be. And then I want the top to be floppy, but it doesn't really want to be. So I'm going to kind of encourage that with a little bit of hot glue so it will go down. Okay, here's our last 2 gnome projects. These gnomes are from the Dollar Tree. They're from the Christmas department. But you know what? There's nothing Christmas about these. So I thought I could use these for any season. And so I thought I would make a couple of gnomes for Halloween. I'm going to do his and her. I thought I would make her a witch and him a wizard. And so I went and just made their hair and beard white. And then since she's a witch, I painted her face green. And I painted his nose, I think that's cashew. Because I didn't think he needed to have a green face as well. And then I'm just using black to paint their outfits and their hats. And I thought he really kind of looked like a wizard, and I thought I could try to make her look like a witch. And I thought that would be really fun for Halloween. We've already got our black cat, we've got our vampire bat, and we've got our ghost gnome. So now we can have a witch gnome and a wizard gnome. So I am just painting one section at a time. These signs are great. They have different levels, so it's a little bit easier to try to not mess up the paint. And I thought she needed a brim to her witch's hat, and I didn't have any black ribbon. And so I just painted a black ribbon that I had the skeletons on it just to make it all black. And then I'm decorating his little wizard hat with just a silver paint pen and just putting moon and stars and kind of outlining all of his outfit with that great silver color to kind of give him a wizard vibe. And here's the top of her hat, and I'm just going to kind of attach that with hot glue kind of at an angle to go over the tip of her little gnome nose. And I think that kind of makes it look more like a witch's hat off to the side. Then I'm going in with just some gray chalk paint. I think this is elephant, and a chunky brush. And I'm just going to distress her hair to make it look gray and make her look older and make it kind of look like hair with a dry brush technique. And I do the same thing here on the little gnome beard. And it kind of makes it look like hair. And I like the gray hair for the witch and for the wizard. So cute. And I'm just trying to use small brushes so I don't mess anything up. And then I draw her little smile on with a black paint pen. And I thought they were a little plain, so I thought I would add some of these little wooden signs from the Dollar Tree. I'll have her say Wicked and his say Happy Halloween. And I'm using this great technique that I got from Kristen, the makeup sponge, to paint those little wood signs. It works perfectly. And then I'm just going to hot glue the little Wicked to her and the Happy Halloween to him. And they have a pop of orange. Just going to replace their little hangers, and they are ready to go. Okay, final reveal time. Check out the little black cat gnome. Isn't he sweet? I just love him. He's so adorable. And here's our little ghost gnome. I love the little ghost hat, and I love the little beard cut like a little ghost. And here's our vampire bat, complete with little sparkly fangs, ears. We got bat wings. And here is how all three of the little gnomes look together. Aren't they precious? And to think they're just made out of socks. And here are those two little Christmas gnomes that aren't Christmas gnomes anymore. We have a little witch and a wizard, and super easy little Halloween signs. All you got to do is paint them. What did you guys think of these quick and easy Halloween gnome projects today? If you enjoyed them, please comment below your favorite little gnome, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I appreciate you. Bye.